billions stolen, millions exposed. These are the stories of the most terrifying cyber attacks in history, and frankly how avoidable they were. Welcome back to the neural network. We're talking about companies that should know better, companies entrusted with your data screwing up on a monumental scale. And for what? A couple of bucks? Bragging rights in the dark corners of the internet? Look, I'm no tech expert, but even I know that password 123 isn't going to cut it. Over the next few minutes, we'll be diving deep into the digital underbelly of data breaches, exposing the hows and whys of these cybersecurity nightmares. We'll be talking about phishing attacks so simple, a toddler with an iPad could have orchestrated them, and vulnerabilities so glaring, you'd think they were left open on purpose. So buckle up, grab your tinfoil hats, and get ready to be mildly terrified, because after this, you'll never look at a click here for a free cruise link the same way again. Alright, let's kick things off with a bang, shall we? Picture this. It's 2013, you're rocking out to Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines, Don't Judge. And Yahoo, yes, Yahoo, suffers a cyber attack of epic proportions. We're talking 3 billion accounts, folks. That's more email addresses than there are people in China. And how did this digital apocalypse unfold, you ask? Well, it all started with a phishing email. You know, those annoying messages that somehow bypass your spam filter, pretending to be from someone you know, asking you to click on a link that screams danger. One wrong click, one slip of the mouse, and boom, 3 billion accounts are compromised. Names, passwords, security questions, everything you thought was safe and sound floating around the dark web like a bad digital hangover. Yahoo, of course, tried to downplay the whole thing. They waited 3 years, yes, 3 years, to finally come clean. And their response? Let's just say it wasn't exactly what you'd call proactive, more like, oh yeah, that happened. Our bad. Try changing your password maybe. This, my friends, is why we can't have nice things. Next up we have Equifax, a company that deals with credit scores, which, unless you're independently wealthy, is something you probably care about. In 2017, they managed to get themselves into a bit of a pickle, to put it mildly. We're talking about a data breach so massive it made the Yahoo hack look like a child playing with a water pistol. 147 million records, gone, poof, into the digital ether. That's nearly half of the US population just hanging out there for any cyber criminal with a Wi-Fi connection to find. But here's the kicker, this wasn't some sophisticated Ocean's 11 style heist. This was the equivalent of leaving your front door wide open with a neon sign flashing, "Come on in." You see, Equifax had a software vulnerability, a weakness in their system, and did they fix it? Did they? Heck, they ignored it. They knew about the vulnerability, they had the tools to fix it, but they just didn't. It's like forgetting to put on pants before leaving the house. You're just asking for trouble. And trouble they got. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why your grandma tells you to update your passwords and not click on suspicious links. Grandma was right, again. Remember Target, that beloved retail giant where you can buy everything from groceries to garden gnomes? Well, back in 2013 they became the, shall we say, bullseye of a major cyber attack. And it all started with a phishing email. Now you might be thinking, hold on a minute, another phishing scam? Haven't these companies learned anything? And to that I say, apparently not. This time the target, pun intended, wasn't Target themselves, but a third-party vendor they worked with. An HVAC company of all things. One wrong click by an unsuspecting employee, and boom, the hackers were in. They infiltrated Target's system like digital termites, burrowing their way through the network until they hit the jackpot. 40 million credit and debit card numbers. That's right, the information from your trusty plastic friend, the one you use to buy those late-night online impulse purchases, was up for grabs. Target eventually recovered, but not without a hefty price tag and a whole lot of red faces. The lesson here? Cybersecurity is like a chain. It's only as strong as its weakest link. SolarWinds, the Trojan horse of cyber attacks. Buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get seriously technical. In 2020, the world witnessed a cyber attack so sophisticated, so stealthy, it would make James Bond blush. This wasn't just another data breach, this was digital espionage on a global scale. The victim, SolarWinds, a company that provides IT management software to a who's who of clients, including Fortune 500 companies and government agencies, you know, the big leagues. The culprit, a group of highly skilled hackers believed to be backed by a nation-state. Cue the dramatic music. Their weapon of choice, a supply chain attack, which is basically the digital equivalent of hiding a Trojan horse inside a delicious-looking cake. They injected malicious code into SolarWinds software updates, which were then unwittingly downloaded by thousands of their customers. The result? 18,000 organizations, including multiple US government agencies, were compromised. The hackers had access to sensitive information, the keys to the kingdom, and they were just getting started. The SolarWinds hack was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that in the digital age, no one is safe. Not even the biggest, most secure organizations in the world. Facebook Cambridge Analytica, that quiz wasn't so fun after all, was it? Ah, Facebook, the social media giant that loves to connect you with long-lost classmates and remind you of your ex's birthday. But in 2018, Facebook found itself at the center of a scandal that shook the world of data privacy to its core. Enter Cambridge Analytica, a political consulting firm with a penchant for data harvesting and a disregard for your privacy. They created a seemingly harmless personality quiz app on Facebook which millions of users eagerly took. Because who doesn't love finding out what kind of cheese they are? But here's the catch. The app didn't just collect data on the users who took the quiz, it also hoovered up information on their friends, even if those friends never gave their consent. We're talking names, likes, locations, political views, the whole shebang. This data was then allegedly used to target users with personalized political ads during the 2016 US presidential election. The scandal sent shockwaves around the world, raising serious questions about data privacy, political manipulation, and the power of social media. Facebook, of course, apologized profusely and promised to do better. But the damage was done. The Cambridge Analytica scandal exposed the dark side of the data-driven world we live in, where information is power and your personal data is a valuable commodity. T-Mobile, unauthorized access, 40 million records, gone. Remember that feeling when you lose your phone? The panic, the dread, the sinking realization that all your precious data is out there floating in the digital abyss? Well, multiply that feeling by 40 million and you'll have a sense of what T-Mobile customers experienced in 2021. That's right, the Un-carrier itself suffered a major data breach, exposing the personal information of a staggering 40 million people. We're talking names, addresses, social security numbers, driver's licenses, the kind of information that makes identity thieves drool. And how did this digital heist go down? According to T-Mobile, it was a case of unauthorized access, which is a fancy way of saying someone got their grubby digital paws on something they shouldn't have. The company was quick to assure everyone that they had closed the door on the attackers and were taking steps to improve their security. But the damage was done. Millions of people were left to pick up the pieces, wondering how their personal information ended up in the wrong hands. The T-Mobile breach was a stark reminder that even in the age of two-factor authentication and biometric security, no company is immune to cyber attacks. Colonial Pipeline. When ransomware brings a nation to its knees. In 2021, the world got a crash course in the crippling power of ransomware with the attack on Colonial Pipeline. This wasn't just another data breach. This was a full-blown cyber hostage situation that brought a critical piece of US infrastructure to its knees. Colonial Pipeline, for those unfamiliar, is responsible for transporting nearly half of the gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel used on the east coast of the United States. So, yeah, kind of a big deal. It all started with a phishing email. You know, the drill, one wrong click and boom, the hackers were in. They deployed a ransomware attack, essentially locking down Colonial Pipeline systems and demanding a hefty ransom for the decryption key. Faced with the prospect of a major fuel shortage and widespread panic, Colonial Pipeline decided to pay up, coughing up a cool $4.4 million in Bitcoin to the hackers. The attack sent shockwaves through the country, highlighting the vulnerability of critical infrastructure to cyber attacks and the very real consequences of ransomware. It was a wake-up call for governments and businesses alike, a stark reminder that in the digital age, no one is immune to the threat of cybercrime. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of some of the biggest cybersecurity breaches in history. From phishing scams to ransomware attacks, we've covered it all, exposing the vulnerabilities, the consequences, and the lessons learned, or not learned in some cases. These breaches serve as a stark reminder that in the digital age, cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, it's a business imperative, a societal challenge, and a personal responsibility. We all have a role to play in protecting ourselves and our data from the ever-evolving threat of cybercrime. Which breach shocked you the most? Comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and change your password after watching this. Stay safe out there, folks.